Welcome to the Midnight Gathering with Nancy Nightmare.
And the Wizard.
Join us where the bizarre,
The mysterious and the macabre meet.
And welcome to another episode.
Welcome, everyone.
I'm very excited about this one because it discusses our friend and yours, Satan.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Longlegs.
Well, almost one and the same. Right? I mean, this is going to be full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen this, please pause this and watch the film.
Absolutely.
I would highly recommend watching the film. Now, I must say that when we saw this the first time at the movie theater, I loved it at first. Then it got to the scene of Nicolas Cage in the car freaking out, and I started laughing.
Yep.
And I thought, uh-oh.
What'd you think?
I thought this might be comical.
Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
But
Which was amazing.
Which was amazing, but I was almost like, oh no, is this going off the rails? But I watched it. I enjoyed it. I'm glad we went to see it. And I will say, strangely enough, watching it at home was a little scarier than watching it at the movie theater, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I think when you're in the movie theater, there was a lot to take in. And watching it at home gave you like a second opportunity to get familiar with what's going on. And I feel that this is the kind of movie that just keeps getting better and better as you watch it.
Yeah. And Nicolas Cage's performance as Longlegs is so unique that it's almost hard to wrap your head around the first time you see it.
Yeah. And I like all of the prosthetics because I feel like it gave him like full license to just, really explore the demented world of Longlegs.
He really Nick Caged it up in this.
Yeah, I loved it. Heavy on vibe. This film is super, super creepy. I think a lot of people find it very scary. So
yeah, I think the writer-director Oz Perkins must really love the winter or find it very creepy.
Yep.
Because, this is the second film I've seen by him where he's used the winter as almost a character.
Yeah.
It's stark.
Yeah.
And it's very appropriate because it is very cold where we are now.
Absolutely.
So let me tell you what we're going to be talking about in this episode. In this episode, we delve into Longlegs, a film that blends Satan, symbolism, and serial killers. It creates an unsettling horror cocktail. Directed by Osgood Oz Perkins, the film features standout performances by a delightfully unhinged Nicolas Cage and by Maika Monroe, who plays FBI agent and the world's worst psychic, really, Lee Harker. We'll explore the film's plot, its occult symbolism, and the writer-director's motivation for creating Longlegs and his lore.
Set in 1993, Longlegs follows FBI Agent Lee Harker, played by Maika Monroe, as she investigates a series of ritualistic family murders across Oregon. The perpetrator, known as Longlegs, played by Nicolas Cage, leaves behind cryptic and coded messages at each crime scene. As Harker delves deeper, she uncovers unsettling connections between the killer, her past, and her mother, Ruth Harker, played by Alicia Witt. The investigation leads to a confrontation that blurs the lines between good and evil, culminating in a haunting, if not somewhat ambiguous, conclusion.
And there it is. Well, I, as a human being, struggle with ambiguity to begin with.
Yep.
I'm a very literal person. I like an explanation. I am a research geek. Immediately while watching this film, I started writing down numbers and trying to figure out symbolism and occult symbolism. And so I was doing a lot of work to try to figure out this film. What are these dolls? How did Longlegs become such an incredible doll maker? What's his backstory? What are the metallic orbs in the doll's head? How does he transfer his consciousness into the dolls? Where does Satan come into this? I have so many questions. And, the director, this is what cracks me up, is I'm such a geek. And I read an interview with Oz Perkins from Variety. Now, first of all, with the name Longlegs, right? Did you have any ideas about what you thought the name Longlegs was or where it came from?
I thought in that one scene where he mentions putting on his long legs, I thought he was referring to Long Johns because it's so cold out. I mean, between now and February, I constantly wear my long legs.
You do. You're a very big fan of your long legs.
I sure am.
Well, for me, I thought that Longlegs might have been referring to it from the child's perspective, looking up at him when he visits them. And I thought, they showed a few shots kind of from the child's perspective. And I thought, oh, it looks like he has long legs, So I thought, oh, it's creepy. It's a reference to his connection to children.
Right.
This I love so much because literally it means nothing.
Right.
According to Oz Perkins, it says, we writers just like words. We like how certain words sound and look and shape and feel. Yeah, it has daddy long legs, hence the spiderweb dress, by the way. And creepy, crawly aspect to it, but it also feels 70s to me, almost like Led Zeppelin song, or someone would have been on the side of their van, something groovy like that. So basically, he goes on, but you don't get to fully understand it. It doesn't fully fit, which is more alluring to me. Oh, you can say that again, Oz Perkins, because you love not explaining things.
Yeah, but he does drop a few nuggets. I mean, she's looking at the book, The 9 Circles of Hell. Inside of it, there's the Luciferian sigil as well. There's also the upside down triangle with the 3 sixes on that page as well that she's trying to decode the message. So there are elements of it. He just doesn't, I don't think he just goes too deep with them.
Okay, well, here's my issue, though. So there are a lot of elements, like the 9th birthday card he gives her, the 9 levels of hell. There's a lot of things that say, these are breadcrumbs, go follow them.
Right.
But then there's no payoff as far as if you are somebody who follows the breadcrumbs. It's like a kind of an art house kind of horror film with all this occult symbolism, but it doesn't, go the full distance for me and like really get into the lore and give you that payoff when you do follow the breadcrumbs. And so another part of the interview that I found interesting was, of course, everybody wants to know how the dolls work, right?
Right.
I want to know how the dolls work. And he says, they asked him, do you have any explanation for how they actually work? He said, I do, but I won't say. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. It's part of the playfulness of the devil. So why? Because Satan.
Right.
Wouldn't it be kind of amazing if you brought a doll into someone's house and it made everyone crazy? So he has a reason, but he's not explaining the reason.
Right.
So it's frustrating for somebody who is a very literal person. Oh my God, one of my nails just flew off when I moved my hand. That was hilarious.
Satan.
I am so classy, everybody. I'm going to put my nail back on.
Satan. Need I say more?
Shit, I just lost another one.
See, there we go. Well,
I tried.
Well, you did hit a couple of points there. So, but I don't know if you remember, there's a scene where one of the doll's heads is broken, and you see like a puff of black smoke, and I feel like inside the puff of the black smoke is where the bad juju resides.
Okay, that's great, but we're coming up with our own solutions for this. We've come up in conversation with like 10 different scenarios, which is maybe what Oz Perkins wants us to do.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, I'm back to wanting details here with the dolls. So is it Satan has possessed Longlegs, and then it's like a Harry Potter Horcrux situation where Longlegs puts a little piece of himself and Satan in each doll?
I mean, if you look at like voodoo practices, the idea of putting like bad juju onto the doll, right? And then the metaphor of the dolls being brought into the house, it's like inviting Satan in, right? I mean...
Yeah, and I love so much about this movie, and I'm going to watch it again and again. But here's the thing that kind of got me a little bit like, I'm just kind of an uptight dork, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want answers. I want Oz Perkins to tell me what Longlegs' real objective is other than just Satan.
Right.
Hail Satan.
That's fair.
And so when they ask him, they said, your previous movie, The Black Coat's Daughter, also features Satanism, which it does.
Right.
But this film takes it up a notch. What made you want to tackle that again? So Oz Perkins answers, all of this Baroque devil worship, it's not that I don't take it seriously. To me, it's window dressing. It's like Halloween stuff, people getting dressed up. It's just ceremony and pomp and circumstance and music and celebration and weirdness. It's all the things that the horror genre wants to be, this exploration of what we don't understand. That's really intriguing and attractive. I really tried to make something that the audience that would be noticeable and enjoyable, especially to a horror audience. So he's taking the concept of Satanism and using it for a horror movie, which is fine. But I start to see all these breadcrumbs and want to connect them and want all the backstory. So maybe we can get a Longlegs prequel.
I mean, we don't know for sure, but possibly, right?
You realize, though, this is an unhinged human being who's had like 7 Diet Pepsis today, who just lost 2 nails. So my opinion on this is just my opinion. I will say I think Oz Perkins is becoming one of my favorite filmmakers, which is funny because I complain so much about these little things. But what are films, if not ways for us to have our ideas and, it should have been like this, it should have been like that?
Well, there's also a lot of great subtleties throughout the film. Like there's these shadows, and I swear every single time I was sitting there watching the movie, I was like, did I think I see something? Or did I?
He did.
Did I see something? I mean, I don't know. But yeah, and then later on, after like doing some reading what other people thought about the film, and they mentioned how he would place this shadowy figure in the background, and that was a lot of fun, watching that. Subtleties, like when fast forward to the end of the film, Blair Underwood's character, like he undergoes a transformation, right? He's no longer the FBI agent, the family man, the father. He's all of a sudden under the spell, So
I really liked Blair Underwood's performance, and I haven't seen him personally. I haven't seen him a lot since like the late 90s, maybe early aughts. As you're supposed to call them. I always say the early OOs, which is not the right way to say it.
Yeah.
And I thought he was phenomenal. I think he should be in more things. He was extremely likable. Yeah. He was believable as an FBI agent.
And the actress who plays the mother as well.
Oh, Alicia Witt.
Yeah,
yes.
she also goes in through these moments where she's in these trance-like states. And even the FBI agent too, what's her name?
Maika Monroe is the actress, Lee Harker.
Right. Someone had pointed out that her performance at times seemed like she was almost like on the spectrum. But I think it could also be, I think maybe the intention is that she's going through periods of spells, and it's almost like Satan is talking to her, hinting where the clues are to help find him.
Like she's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice that, and it did occur to me that they were kind of playing it like she might be on the spectrum, whatever. I mean, who's qualified to say that? Certainly not me. But it looked like that's what they were going for. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought maybe she's being controlled by...
Yeah.
How many times are we going to say Satan in this episode?
I mean...
Satan.
He's pervasive.
He is the main character in this. It's really Satan through Longlegs.
Yeah.
So... there's a lot of occult references and symbolism. God knows I wrote down every single instance of one
when I was into some of them.
Watching the movie. Revelation 13:1, this is going to give me flashbacks. The film frequently references this Bible verse describing a beast rising from the sea, symbolizing the Antichrist. This allusion underscores the protagonist's battle against a seemingly omnipotent evil.
Yep. And the mother mentions this too, towards the end of the film, where she said that she would continue to do this until the beast rises from the seas, which is referencing Revelations 13:1. So if you haven't read it, it's a fantastic story about the end of the world.
Best book in the Bible, I believe. Even when I was in Bible school, yes, I did a year at a Baptist Bible school. We had Bible class, and the only book I had any real interest in was Revelation.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school, and I think in second grade, we each received a copy of our own Bible. And for whatever reason...
Did we all turn to Revelation first, though? I want to know.
That was the first page. I don't know why. Maybe some dark entity was telling me to read this,
Yeah, that must have been it. But, some people just like to get to the end of the book first. Okay, this is great. This is his son, and this is his son, and this is how it all started. But tell me what's going to happen. Let's get to the good part.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the satanic iconography, crime scenes feature inverted triangles, which we mentioned, the number 666, which we also mentioned, the serpentine imagery, that we did not mention, which was very cool. All traditional symbols associated with Satanism, highlighting the killer's devotion to dark rituals.
I'm sorry, you'll have to excuse me. I was just putting my nail back on because I just thought it looked a little trashy. And I am nothing if not a sophisticated woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is important stuff. Listen, I'm trying to class it up. I keep doing this because it's very rare you're going to see me with nails on. Okay.
Or potentially going into trances.
I don't know. Why would I go into a trance?
You never know.
Okay. Are you trying to bring me back to satanic iconography?
Satan.
Okay, and also in this film, there were a lot of glam rock references.
Yes.
The film incorporates elements of 1970s glam rock, notably T-Rex's Get It On, which plays during pivotal scenes. This choice reflects the era's flirtation with occult aesthetics and adds a layer of cultural commentary. And also, Oz Perkins was listening to this music when he wrote the film.
Love me some glam rock.
Yeah, I do too.
David Bowie. Mm-hmm. T-Rex. Mm-hmm. Mott and the Hoople.
Don't know who that is.
Slade.
You know a lot more bands.
I
than
love
I do.
glam rock. There was that film from 1998 that was like loosely built around Bowie's early days in glam rock. My God.
Oh, I know. We're gonna do 10 minutes of what was the name of that film?
The Velvet Goldmine.
That's right. Look at you, sharp.
I love glam rock. I mean, this is like the first time that gender bending was happening. This is like how Bowie got on the map.
Oh, Bowie.
He tried to go the traditional hippie route, but nobody was biting. And then all of a sudden he was like, you know what?
Fuck this.
And he also, I mean, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have punk rock. Punk rock music was heavily influenced by glam rock.
Really?
Yeah.
You're such a historian, sir.
Yeah, John Lydon talks about it. A lot of the punk rockers from that era from the 70s talk about Bowie's influence and glam rock as a whole.
That's super cool.
Super simple songs, 3 chords, and just go. Wow.
3 chords and eyeshadow. That's all you need.
And from there, we also got goth music too. So, I mean, there was a lot came from glam rock. It's not obvious right away, but it is where a lot of the punk and goth came from.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of demonic presence, director Osgood Perkins subtly includes demonic figures throughout the film, symbolizing the pervasive nature of evil and its influence over the character's actions. I love that. It's so creepy, like over the stairway, the moment where she's a little girl and you can see that horned figure standing right behind her.
Yeah, and the other thing I really liked was that he used that. I liked it. Some people didn't like it. I noticed some reviews online. But the Super 8 imagery, when they were doing flashbacks that showed you that it was old footage, I liked that. You know how it was superimposed like a Super 8 film?
Yes.
Did you fall into a trance? Is that what just happened?
I don't know. I just felt kind of weird there for a second.
Okay. Here we go. I liked that they did that during the flashbacks. I thought it was very effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It also kind of gave me Late Night with the Devil vibes, too.
I love that movie. That's one of my favorite new movies.
Tonight.
Again, yeah, let's watch it tonight again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm extremely caffeinated right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
We've been really partying it up.
Well, we want to wrap up a fun 2024.
It has been a fun 2024. Longlegs, I'm always excited when there is a new film that comes out that's a great horror film. I feel like sometimes we don't get a lot of new horror films that are, phenomenal in the movie theater. It's not like the 80s where there were slashers coming out every week.
Yeah.
So it's always exciting when something new comes out that you fall in love with. And this is definitely one that I have fallen in love with.
Yeah, I hope Oz Perkins maybe does another one and we can kind of,
Please, give me a Longlegs prequel.
Yeah.
I want details, Oz Perkins. I want to know, I want to know where Longlegs came from, how he got his name, what happened to his face.
Well, Right. There was, yeah, they don't just explain the botched plastic surgeries that he was doing, right? Because he was kind of like trying to impress Satan.
Well, that's okay. So I got that information. We don't know if he's trying to impress
Was he a
Satan.
former glam rocker too? Because he also sings.
Hey, give him some. Maybe he already has the backstory written, but if not, feel free. That would be a cool story.
Yeah.
You know,
He made a pact with Satan to become successful, and then this was his fall. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to write our own movie at this point because all we do is talk about this film and what it possibly means and where he possibly came
Yeah,
from.
but it's so good. I mean, it's 70s, like it's creepy, and then we fast forward into the 1990s where she's an FBI agent.
Okay, but I do want to talk about his makeup a little bit because the first thing I thought, obviously, as we've all probably thought, is, oh, that looks like botched plastic surgery, which is funny that we recognize botched plastic surgery so much because it's so prevalent now. And it looked like somebody who'd had a lot of fillers, so he's a little full. And the special effects makeup artist, Harlow McFarlane, said his jam is really that he's trying to make himself beautiful for the devil. He's in love with the devil and he's trying to impress the devil. So he's gone through all these plastic surgery botch jobs to make himself look pretty as he can for the devil. Everything he does is for this evil force that he's trying to impress. You can just imagine it's some hack job of a doctor in a strip mall somewhere, probably Los Angeles, let's be honest.
Yep.
Harlow added, to get the look just right, Harlow worked with Oz and Nicholas to make Longlegs look like he'd gotten too much filler and had excessive scarring.
Yep.
So
instead of going to Encino, he was like somewhere in Reseda getting plastic surgery.
he was in Van Nuys.
In Van Nuys, in one of the strip malls.
No, hey, there's probably some really good doctors in Van Nuys and Reseda. Thank you very much.
Yep.
You know,
Possible.
I don't want to have a future of looking like Longlegs.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
It's very tempting.
Yeah. And speaking of Longlegs, how about that ending where he smashes his face? It's one of the most iconic.
I think it's one of the best
cinema.
death scenes I've ever seen personally. Yeah. I couldn't believe it that the last time he smashed his face, part of it's like hanging off. I have no idea how they did it.
Yeah.
Did Nicolas Cage really smash his face against a table? Was there padding in there? I almost don't want to know because it's just so cool to watch.
Yeah. I also read somewhere where Oz Perkins didn't allow Nick Cage to be seen by Maika Monroe.
I saw that.
So that way we can get that effect of seeing him for the first time in this makeup and how creepy he was.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I have watched a couple of other reviews of this film, and there was a lovely girl on YouTube who I watched, and I can't remember her name right now, but she was terrified by this film.
Yeah.
She couldn't understand how anybody would not be afraid of this film. And that's what's so cool about horror in general. Things hit you differently. I wasn't afraid of this film at all the first time we saw it. I was laughing quite a bit. And it depends, I think, on what your views are of the devil. Oh my God, I'm still losing nails. Are you kidding me? Who's doing this to me? No, my own
Satan.
Yeah, my own bad nail job. It depends on what your views are of the devil, what your religious background is, what trauma you've worked through, what trauma you've experienced. For me, the scariest part of this was her in the cabin, was Lee Harker in the cabin. And it's desolate, and she hears someone knocking on the door, and she knows there's someone out there, and she sees someone. That's my terror, because if I'm ever home alone, I'm afraid of humans.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid of people coming to my house, and, I would get the gun too, Lee Harker.
Well, it also plays on the childhood fears of the boogeyman in the closet, the boogeyman in the basement, like, Freddy Krueger. But it's like really unsettling that she finds out that at 9 years of age, that he's living in her basement the whole time.
Okay, can we talk about that a little bit though? Like, she never went to the basement. I guess Satan, the idea from what I've read, I've done a lot of research on this, is that Satan was whispering in her ear, so he would tell her where not to go. So she had psychic abilities in a very limited way. Well, I said she's the world's worst psychic because she literally lived in the house with this guy and didn't even know he was there.
Right.
So there's just Thank you, Oz Perkins, for giving me a movie that I can dissect constantly every time I watch it.
Yeah. The soundtrack, too, is incredibly creepy. There was a lot of back masking, and that was an ode to 1980s Satanic Panic, where if you played records backwards, he even mentioned like Led Zeppelin, too. And there's the ongoing story that if you play Stairway to Heaven backwards on vinyl, that it's saying something along the lines like Sweet Satan, you know?
It's like a Trick or Treat 86 situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but apparently there was some of the backmasking. Somebody was saying that they were saying leave a bad review on Rotten Tomatoes of this film, but backmasked backwards in the film, and also there was like spells from grimoires as well that were being said backwards.
Interesting.
Yeah, Satan.
So, in conclusion, Longlegs stands as a provocative addition to the horror genre, intertwining occult symbolism with compelling narrative. Whether you're here for the Nicolas Cage performance of a lifetime or the unsettling occult undertones, this film delivers plenty of material to dissect. It sure does.
Oh, yeah.
So as you turn off the lights tonight, just remember, if you hear T-Rex playing faintly in the distance, maybe it's time to check your basement for creepy satanic dolls.
Yeah.
I do have creepy satanic dolls in the basement.
Oh, for sure. Doesn't everyone?
I think so. Oh no, I'm losing another fingernail. I'm not doing this again. This is why my nails always look like crap. Look at this. This is so embarrassing. And I have to point it out because otherwise I feel like it's awkward. There's another one. You know what? Fuck this.
Satan.
Pull them off. Taking them off. This is not who I am. There's a lot of cool girls online with nice nails. I'm not one of them. Not doing it.
So, Longlegs, yay or nay?
Oh, yay.
All right.
However, when I first watched it, it was a nay. When we watched it at the movie theater, I was kind of
because we were trying to piece it all together.
I was mad that there was no great satanic payoff of figuring it out. I like to figure things out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you leave a trail of breadcrumbs, but it's just like kind of like a hodgepodge of ideas because part of the film is a crime film. It's a thriller, but it's also horror, you know?
And that's why I titled this episode, Why? Because Satan.
Satan. Sometimes it's just Satan. He works in mysterious ways.
What is Satan's deal with all this? Why the families? Why the dolls?
Yeah. And it's the men, right? Because he possessed the men.
The fathers, the family annihilators.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alicia Witt, man. That mother, she was pretty scary too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean there's moments where she goes into trances and she has like that glazed look over her face and she almost like transforms.
She did. Her face transformed. Oz Perkins mentioned that actually in an interview that I watched about her face and what's her name? Oh, Kieran Shipka, who played Sabrina in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah.
And she was also in The Black Coat's Daughter.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed her.
She's so creepy.
She's so scary. And I didn't recognize her. I actually was like looking it up in the middle of the movie. Like, who is this actress? I've seen her before.
So for people who've never seen horror, this will be an incredibly unsettling movie. It has a lot of creepy undertones between the soundtrack, the visuals. What would you say?
I actually was really surprised that the night that we watched this at home, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to go to the bathroom. And I actually was scared to get out of bed and go to the bathroom.
I think Longlegs was in the basement?
I don't know. There's nothing conscious I was afraid of. I just felt a little afraid, which doesn't normally happen to me after watching horror.
Yeah.
So it got to me for sure the second time. The first time, I think I was expecting a different type of movie. I hadn't watched any previews. I hadn't watched any of the hype. So I really didn't have any expectations going in. But I knew Nick Cage was going to be weird and scary.
Yeah.
But I think I was so overwhelmed by the setting and the beautiful editing and all that stuff and Nick Cage's performance and the death scene.
Yeah.
that I couldn't really fully be afraid the first time. And then the second time, it creeped me out a little bit.
Yeah. And I love that it's set against wintertime because I feel like winter doesn't get enough love.
I will say, as somebody who writes horror music, living in a place that has a stark, desolate winter has been phenomenal. Because sometimes living in Southern California, it was hard to get into the right mindset for gothic horror when it's like 85, 90 degrees out and sunny.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and here you can see the decay and the change of season and the possible death that something would experience if they were outside.
Yeah, and some parts are very desolate, right? There's like no one around for miles, and it's just snow and it's cold. I mean, you know, it's a birthplace of Stephen King.
Well, not this state particularly.
No, not this state, but New England in general.
Right. He uses a lot of that in his...
Edgar Allan Poe.
Listen, you're asking me questions again outside of my scope. I don't freaking know.
Okay.
Why are you asking me? You putting me on the spot during our podcast?
Because you're a native New Englander.
Wow. That doesn't mean I know anything. I went to public school, for God's sakes. I know Annabelle Lee.
Yeah, there you go.
That was Poe, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I had to memorize that in 6th grade. Thank you, Mr. Gilberti.
Yep.
I always tell my 6th grade teacher that he was the reason that I became the way I am.
Right, and didn't he always wear black?
He always wore black. He was the coolest. I thought he was the coolest guy in the whole world. He's passed, but he was my favorite teacher. We memorized a poem every single week. And even as an adult, he was online supporting me and supporting my horror music.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
shout out to Mr. Gilberti.
Yeah, so if you ever find a mentor like that, hold on to them. They're rare, extremely rare.
Yeah, he was special. But yeah, I learned Edgar Allan Poe from him. But I don't remember him telling me where he was born, unfortunately.
Yep.
Don't make me pull out my phone. I've already lost all my nails. I can use my phone again. So, I feel so incapacitated. They call it beauty by impairment. That you're supposed to impair yourself, basically physical impairment, to make yourself beautiful.
Right.
Now the push-up bra I don't mind because I'm in here securely, right? That feels like a helpful thing.
Right.
But the nails make me angry. I feel myself getting angry when I have nails on.
Yep.
So I'm not going to do it again. That's a Nancy Nightmare guarantee.
Yep.
I do keep going off the rails. I'm sorry. But sometimes I just want to talk. I just want to talk to you.
Right. I mean, this is what it's like.
This is what it's like. These are the behind the scenes things. I will not wear Spanx anymore. I will not. You know what those are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the thing that suck you in.
Yep.
I'm not doing it. I'm a
Okay.
singer. I talk a lot. And I also use my hands a lot. And there you go. That's what you've learned from this movie review.
All right.
So, again, bringing you the news that matters.
The hard-hitting news that matters.
But I love Longlegs. I love Nicolas Cage, weird as he is.
Yeah.
I hope there's a prequel to this. I doubt there will be.
Yeah. If you're somebody who gets easily scared by horror movies, watch this movie.
If you're afraid of Satan,
Watch this movie.
definitely watch this movie.
Yep. You know why? Because
Satan. That's why.
Yeah.
And we hope that you'll meet us again at the Midnight Gathering. Until next time, stay spooky.